by the non-white person making that judgment. That's why the book that I wrote is called The United Independent Compensatory System. A victim of white supremacy can make that determination. But a victim of white supremacy has a duty to observe for a little while and to make judgments based on logic as to whether or not the person may or may not be practicing racism. But the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept that I wrote for my share of it says that if a person is classified as white and he or she is able to practice racism, that person is likely to be a white supremacist in the system of white supremacy. Now, if there were no system of white supremacy, then I would not say that. I would not write that. But if the person is able to practice racism and the person is classified as white, it is correct to suspect that the person may be a white supremacist. You don't really know, but you are almost duty-bound, I would say duty-bound, to suspect that the person is racist until the person proves to that individual victim of racism that he or she is not a racist. The person, and if the white person is not a racist, the white person shouldn't have any problem with that. Now, it's based on logic. If you're walking down the street and suddenly there are law enforcement cars coming from everywhere, lights flashing, people jumping out with dogs and whatnot, machine guns, all type of armored equipment, and they say, someone just opened fire on a crowd of people 6 blocks away from here, and that person is wearing a green T-shirt. That's the only description we have. Now, there might be dozens of people in the area with green T-shirts. It might be what is called St. Patrick's Day. So you say, my goodness, green T-shirts are all over the neighborhood. Which person could it be? Well, that's the only description that we have. So what do you do in a practical sense? You suspect just about anybody who is able to have committed those acts. Now, it might be a little baby in a crib with a green T-shirt. But you would say, logically speaking, well, I don't think that baby did that. Open fire into a crowd with an automatic weapon. I don't think that baby did that. So I won't even consider that baby. Or an elderly person, elderly, white person, non-white person, whomever, in a wheelchair, who didn't even hear the gunfire, is blocks away from it, but that person is wearing a green T-shirt, and the person appears to be asleep, sitting there on the bus stop, waiting on the bus, in a wheelchair. And the person appears to be something like maybe 90 years old, maybe more. Well, maybe you pass that person up. Just maybe. And a person might have, hidden under a blanket, in that wheelchair, a machine gun. Person could have done it, maybe, but not likely. Why? I don't think that person has the ability to do that. And then travel that far this fast. That's 6 blocks away. And that's not a motorized wheelchair. Plus, there are a lot of obstacles between here and the scene of the shooting. No, not likely. But there are a lot of robust people walking around wearing green T-shirts. People of all classifications, white and non-white. But what you're looking for is green T-shirt. Person who is able to have fired into a crowd at great length, reloading and whatnot, and then ran off. So your job would be difficult, but that's the job. You got to sort through the number of people based on their abilities, and everybody who is able is a possible suspect. That's why the code calls a white supremacist when something happens to non-white people that should not happen. In the code book, and I got this one from the Humphrey Bogart movie, Casablanca, but I paraphrased it, the usual suspects. It came from Captain Renault. I like to give the source of where I get things. Captain Renault in the movie Casablanca, when he said, Major Strouser has been shot. Round up the usual suspects. It's a classic line.